First up, our main exhibit. Come on in, everyone. Don't be shy. Now, don't mind the smell, okay? It is a little bit pongy, but that's just his natural habitat. Okay?
Emily, what the fuck is going on? Who are these people?
Yeah, if you're gonna act like a zoo animal, I'm gonna treat you like one.
How do they breed?
Oh, great question. Connors don't breed. No, they could never find a mate.
And a girlfriend on RuneScape.
In fact, he is attempting asexual reproduction at least 10 times a day.
Welcome to episode 262 of the Wilderness Podcast. I am Mr. Dills, and with me, as usual, Mr. Trey. How are you on this nice Easter morning?
Is it nice there?
Actually, it is. The sun's out and stuff.
Oh, we have a day of full rain every hour of the day today, and I'm supposed to be mowing some lawns. So
we have been going through this like adventure, going through every single boss in old school RuneScape in the order that they were released. Look out, Jimmy! We're by release now. I just started watching that series. Can you believe it? It's such a good series.
I never finished it.
Oh, interesting. I'm still in the beginning, but I bounced off of it when I first tried for some reason, and then I gave it another go, and it's really good. Anywho, we're going through every single boss in RuneScape, and slowly but surely, but we're on part 4. We got up to, last episode we did Kraken, the Smoke Devil, Corp, and Zulrah. So we're going to be picking up from those bosses today and continuing through. We'll see how far we get. I'm going through our pros and cons, and it's kind of like I think it's a fun way of doing it. We're doing a smash or pass. It's very like arbitrary on how we're deciding whether it's a smash or pass. And I think you said it last episode, but if the smash or pass also it could change day to day just because depending on what appeals to us. But really, we're just going through highlighting all the stuff about the boss.
Once the series is done, we're just going to circle back and start all over, and we'll see how many of them change. Be an infinite loop.
I've been watching Seinfeld, and then I have a podcast I listen to. So I watch an episode, and then I'll have a podcast episode that I listen to, the Seinfeld recap show. And I've been loving it so much. It's so cozy. I think Seinfeld's always been a very cozy show for me, but I'm on the last season. I'm coming up near the end, and I've literally thought I don't want this to end. Maybe I'll just start it over again from season 1, and we'll just do that forever because it's taken me years to get through the full series. I'm so slow. Anyways, before we get into the bosses, what's new in the world of trade? Do you have anything you want to talk about before we jump into the Smash or Pass?
I mean, I've been a busy little bee in RuneScape. I've become obsessed with my new goal, which is the Diary Cape. Yeah, I said after I got my BOFA, I started to go on a bit of a skilling arc, and the skilling arc turned into a Diary Cape arc. And, I just really lean into when I log onto RuneScape, I do whatever I feel like doing at the time. And unlike a lot of people, most of the time I feel like skilling. So I've really been pushing the diaries. I've got 7 out of the 12 elites done now. And I have 4 skills. I have 4 skills in one of the classics of the tasks that are holding me up now. So I have rune crafting, fishing, fletching, and thieving are the 4 that I have to get pretty high. 3 of those I have to get to 91, and then I have to get 86 rune crafting to boost. And then the Barbarian Assault is the other thing that's really going to hold me back. That one's always a bit of a struggle for anybody because you either have to run it with randos or you have to find 4 other people that want to do Barbarian Assault. But just been trying to, I'm buying supplies for fletching, which is, I did not realize how different fletching would be on an Iron Man.
How does it differ? I'm trying to think how it would be different. And I haven't done it either. That's why I got the purging staff, not the other one. I don't even know the name of it. The purging bow.
The scorching bow. No, you can get up to 70 or whatever with your standard fletching, but pretty much the most efficient way of doing it is, I say most efficient, but I almost mean the only way of doing it, at least what a lot of people would say, is broad arrows. It turns fletching into it already was pretty much a viable skill on a main, but I'm playing an Iron Man and it makes it into a viable skill like a lot probably the most similar to a main of any other skill I've encountered.
And the thing that like, and this is like a mental thing with me that since I've been playing my iron, so it's just with my main, when you're talking about fletching, I would just buy endless amounts of magic logs, turn them into longbows unstrung, and then I don't even know what I sold them, probably did something with them. But I was able to do that, and it's really boring, but it's kind of AFK and whatever. But with an iron, like you can't just have unlimited amounts of logs unless you're wood cutting. So what ends up happening is like I do them in bunches. If I'm going to do some fletching, I do all my logs. It's like a couple hundred or 1,000 or so. And then I go back to wood cutting. So it's like I'm taking these breaks in between because I run out of the resources. But with thieving, you could just click forever. That's it. You're pickpocketing some arty knights. You don't need any. There's nothing that's going to force you to stop and take a break to go do something else. Like I could sit and click arty knights until I have 99. So you're on this diary grind, and how's that going? Like, is there anything do you like doing diaries?
I love it. Yeah,
why do you like it?
Just the feeling of accomplishment, and I love the diary cape. For those who don't know, the diary cape allows you to teleport to any of the like diary cape, like the people you talk to get the rewards anywhere on the mini map that has that green star. And it's so good. It has a teleport to Shanty Pass, which is, I want to say, within like 3 tiles as far away from a bank as the crafting cape. And there's a couple of like kind of fringe methods that have come out of the diary cape. Like there's that you can double nature runes is a big one that people will use it for, because there's a teleport to kind of like Shiloh Village. But it's such a good item for like clues, because there's just a lot of teleports that, I don't know, it's just like they're kind of right in the like gaps between other teleports. You know, like there's like a Draenor, the girl with like Easter bunny ears on in Draenor, you can teleport to her, and it's like way closer to like Lumbridge Swamp, or even just the middle of Draenor than even like the Glory teleport. So I just love all that. But yeah, it's just that, I mean, feeling of accomplishment you get from RuneScape completionism. I got all the chompies done, so that's a good one to get out of the way. So as far as I got the Black Knight task done, 1,300 Black Knight kills, which, by the way, for those who don't know, the elite Black Knights from While Gothic Sleeps count as 12 Black Knight kills. Killing those as opposed to cannoning normal ones was way, way faster. And it was one of those kind of quiet buffs they did. Just a little quality of life that they put in without ever acknowledging that's what it was. So because diaries, there's kind of 2 sections of what makes diaries hard to complete. There's the skills required, and then there's the really just every elite diary has something annoying. Chompies is a big one for people. But yeah, the other one's Barbarian Assault. You have to get level 5 in all your skills, and I haven't exactly committed to that yet. But Mage Training Arena is the other big one.
Tough too, especially if you wait a little bit longer, because the longer you wait, the more quests you have to complete to get your Lumbridge Diary Cape or finish the Lumbridge Diaries. I could probably throw that one up there too. If you're like brand new to the game and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get my Lumbridge Diary, and it's like, oh well, you got like 1,000 quests to do because you waited 25 years to do it. One thing that I'm dealing with is like, I as a main, I was like, I love that they're doing this, but then as like a mid-level iron, just like a mid-level account in general, less so, because like you get all these items which are like, oh, but now you need the skill levels to turn this into the thing that it makes. So it's like, great, it's intertwining your skills with combat. You can't use this weapon until you can actually make it with your smithing level and blah, 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 blah. But then like I have my bank and it's like starting to get full. Exaggerating, there's like 4 items, but I have these items that were really exciting to get, but then I'm like, wow, I can't do anything with these items because I need 88 crafting for the Huey hides. I need duplicates of my tools I need them first, the dragon axe to use my smoldering stone and then I have the synapse. If I want to make it into the scorching bow, need the fletching levels. And then I started doing Zulrah this week. So much fun. I couldn't stop doing it. It was like, just having such a great time killing Zulrah. And the item that I wanted the most was the Cerb helmet. I love the idea of the only way to have like a good anti-venom protection is through the Cerb helmet. That sounded fun to me. And then the blowpipe is second tier, and the magic fang is third tier, because if I got the magic fang, there's nothing I could do with it. And I got the friggin' magic fang on the weekend, which is like, yay! Now I gotta wait till I have 91 or 88 Slayer to kill Kraken? Like, what? So now, if anything, this item is just a negative, because it's just taking up bank space. It does nothing positive for me right now. Ugh. Sorry, I'm a little spicy today, I told you.
Nah, you gotta get on that skilling grind.
I know, they're just such teases.
It's kind of funny, we had this wave of baby irons in the clan, and I think a lot of us, including myself, are getting to the point in the account where it's like that, like rushing to the end game or rushing content. You kind of can't get away with it anymore. You hit a point where it's like you have to skill, you have to get your quests, you have to do these, like you have to go back and do the minimal or the all these things that you were avoiding. You're skipping past. You realize on an iron you can't skip past stuff, so you kind of have to go back. And I remembered I told myself that coming from my main account, like I'm gonna do my diaries as they come up, like as I'm able to, because I was so guilty on my main. Like I did my easy diaries when I was like max combat, and like had super high skills and stuff, and went back through and did all of that. But I was trying to like, okay, I'm base 40s on my Iron Man. I'm gonna go do all my easy diaries and stuff like that. So I'm just the type of person that I always focus on what's my lowest skill as opposed to what I want my highest skill to be. So
what's your lowest skill right now?
I got base 80s recently, so I have 3 or 4 skills. So agility, thieving, hunter are my only 3 skills that are at 80 now. So those will stay there for a little while because I don't need hunter for diaries. Like I said, yeah, it'll be thieving, rune crafting, fletching, and fishing will be my focuses. And then I still have 99 construction banked, and I really want to do that. And 99 farming has been really interesting because I've completely depleted. I'm like halfway to 98, and I've completely depleted all of my seeds and stuff, like the tree seeds and stuff like that. And also, I hit 100 Hespori KC without the stupid bucket. So I haven't wanted to, like, I haven't done herb runs really because it's just such a drain of ultra compost.
It's true, yeah. I got spooned with the bucket, so. It's so nice. It makes.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Well,
I shouldn't be rubbing
it's horrible because I'm out of like tree seeds because most of my tree seeds came from PVM, and I've been doing all this skilling, so I'm out of tree seeds, and so I've been just doing Hespori, but now I'm out of Hespori seeds, and I'm not getting them because haven't been doing like farm runs, right. And so now I can't even. So it's just it's something. I mean, I'm 97 farming, so it's like I can let it chill for a little while.
The nice thing about farming is like even if you get the bucket late, it's still going to be pretty good because you're always going to be doing your farm runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I guess for anyone who doesn't know what the heck we're talking about, Hespori is this farming boss. You get the seeds from. Is it only from trees you get them from, or is it any plant?
Most plants, trees is one of the best sources of them. Seaweed's another really good one. Herbs is actually one of the lower ones. I think they wanted to make sure that wasn't the meta.
Yeah. Well, you get these Hespori seeds and you then plant it and it ends up growing into this boss fight, which is pretty cool. A little annoying when you're doing like a pure farming XP run and you got to switch into combat gear, whatever. I always ignore the Hespori, but a lot of people, Trey, like one of the big reasons sounds like you're doing it is for this bottomless compost bucket, which is kind of a semi-rare drop from Hespori. And it just lets you put on like basically like unlimited compost into it. So instead of when you do a farm run, you don't need to bring constantly pulling out buckets of compost, filling up your inventory. You have the one item. But what's also really nice is when you're putting compost into it or filling it up, instead of just getting one bucket will equal as 2 for the bottomless compost. So you get double the amount of compost when you're like producing it. So that's super nice too. So like I haven't had to fill up my bucket in so long because I still have like 600 buckets of ultra compost in it. So it's gonna be a while until I'm gonna need to fill that thing back up. So it's pretty nice for that.
I would love if I could take everybody that's working on sailing right now, and even if it delayed sailing for a year, I think the one of the biggest quality of life updates that we need in this game is the bottomless compost bucketification of so many chargeable items. You know, a better analogy is the eternal glory, but if we could have every item in the game that has charges to have a version of it that is like, you can put all of, you know, a ring of eternal dueling, you know, just put all of your ring of duelings into it. You know, like we have a lot of them in the game. You know, we have like the ring of suffering. You can put all your ring of ring coil into. Now from mixology, you have the alchemist amulet, which lets you put all of your amulet of chemistry into. But just every single item that has charges on it needs a version of that. That's a great reward space. It doesn't have to just be something you can craft. It can be something you can, you know, get some rare emerald that makes the ring of, you know, the chargeable ring of dueling. But oh my gosh, having 8 different bank spaces for all your different rings of dueling at the charges they're at is so annoying. And then bottomless compost bucket, having to pull out like 5 ultra compost at a time for my farm run. And then, you know, dropping the buckets and blah, 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 blah. It's so annoying. So I would take that quality of life update over anything else they've proposed in the game.
What's annoying is, you know, every single unlimited charged jewelry would be from entirely different things. Like, we already have that. Eternal glory comes from the Fountain of Rune. When you charge your glory, so you have a small chance at getting the eternal glory. Super rare. But then you have the eternal Slayer ring, which comes from Slayer monsters. That makes sense. But you know, the eternal dueling ring will end up coming from like a bird's nest. Like, it's a really rare chance from this like secret type of bird's nest. Like, it just, Trey, I'm feeling a little spicy today. I don't know if this is fair to me to say that, complain about this inconsistency. It's probably fine. People are going to start turning on me if I'm bitching about everything we talk about today. Yeah. That's all. Hey, well, anything else that you wanted to talk about? Mike, I don't know, I can't remember if I'm cutting you off from anything, but anything else you want to talk about before we transition to boss stuff?
Here's your transition. I had one more big drop on my account yesterday, and it came from the first boss we'll be talking about.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay, you want to do the Smash and Pass part 4?
Part 4 of 100.
Hell yeah, here we go. So we're starting, you know, I felt like last episode was a bit of a stinker in terms of the bosses we talked about. Because we talked about the Kraken, we talked about the Thermi, we talked about Corp. A lot of those I felt like left a lot to be inspired, I guess. Like, it's just they failed in comparison to some of the other bosses we see. We did end with Zulrah, which is a fantastic boss, you know, so that's great. But I'm excited for this episode because we're talking about some really cool bosses. And we're going to start off with, again, revisiting these Slayer bosses, because this is the second, you know, batch of Slayer bosses that came out, but maybe done differently. So the first boss we're looking at today is Cerberus. A very cool boss. I think it's a hellhound, 3-headed dog. It's Slayer boss, as I mentioned, that requires level 91 Slayer. And really, the people go here mostly for the boot upgrades, because it drops the Primordial, Pegasian, Eternal Crystals, which each make the really strong melee boots, really strong ranger boots, really strong magic boosts. Now, I forgot to do this last episode. Let me go through my pros and cons first, and then I'll volley it over to you. But I like the way the boss looks and the lair. I like a lot of the aesthetic about it. It also has a fun Harry Potter reference. If you've watched I guess it's the first Harry Potter movie, where it has like a trap door underneath Cerberus.
Oh, I never even realized that.
It's great. The loot's pretty cool for the most part. There, you know, you got like these 4 main things you're kind of hunting, but overall, I think it's pretty neat. Mechanics are good. I say that, but I'm kind of hesitant because they are a little bit weird. He does these things where he spits like lava on the ground. You got to dodge. He does this attack where these ghosts come out, which, to be fair, is kind of frustrating to learn because the timing's a little bit awkward. You need to pray flick, and if you pray against them, they drain your prayer. If you don't pray against them, they drain your health. So it's not a terrible mechanic. It just it's very frustrating to learn. So until you learn it, it's very frustrating. After you learn it, it's going to drain you from all your prayer potions. So that sucks. Now, those are my pros. And I'm sure that as we start talking about this, definitely stuff that I left off this list. Now, some of the cons, the crystals are kind of wild cards because we mentioned there's 3 crystals and they all require another pair of boots. Trey, can you tell us about how the boots work? How do you get these crystals, but you can't wear the crystals?
Yeah, so there's the primordial crystal, which is an upgrade for melee. So that attaches to dragon boots to make the primordial boots.
That's your Slayer. So you probably have it by the time you get there.
Yeah, and an Iron Man that I was going to say it requires 83 Slayer, but you need 91 to even kill Cerb. So yeah, fair enough. You'll probably have dragon boots by then. Then there's the Pegasian crystal, which attaches to ranger boots from medium clues. That makes the Pegasian boots.
And coming from clues means you might not have them by the time you get there.
Yeah, I mean, ranger boots is one of the most sought after clue item, probably the most sought after clue item, except for obviously like Third Age and Bloodhound. But as far as it's probably the only like usable clue item in the game as far as, I guess there's Blessed D'Hide anyways. And then there's the Eternal Crystal, which, not to be confused with the Eternal Gem, which is always very confusing in our clan when somebody gets that drop because it's like, wait, which one is that? But the Eternal Crystal, which attaches to the, what is it? The Infinity Boots? Is it
Infinity Boots.
Okay. To make the Eternal Boots, which is your magic version of those. So yeah, those are the 3 boots you can get from the 3 crystals. And then the fourth, kind of crystal on the same loot table is the Smoldering Stone, which attaches to your dragon tools adds a burning effect. I had to say that for Dills. There's a burning effect, but so if you make a dragon axe into a infernal axe, it will burn some of the logs as you chop them. Give you fire making
experience. Yeah.
If you use it on your harpoon, it'll cook some of the fish as you catch them. And if you put it on a pickaxe, it'll smelt some of the ore as you mine it. So it's mostly used. I would say, generally speaking, it's mostly used with the wood cutting because it makes it a lot more AFK because you're freeing up inventory space by burning logs.
Yeah, true. And the nice thing about the harpoon is I think that's how you can you get the most amount of points from Temperos. Like it's the best harpoon to use unless I'm mixed.
I can never remember one of them. So one of them's the best XP from Temperos. And then one of them between the infernal pickaxe or between the infernal harpoon and the crystal harpoon, one of them is best for points and one of them is best for XP. And I can never remember which is which.
I think it's the Inferno because when I was trying to farm the pet and the clogs on my main, I remember that's what I was using. But I'm an idiot, so I could be completely wrong. And then, Joey, just to go back to the Eternal Crystal, you get the boots from a mini game. So it's like you get Slayer boots, the Dragon boots, you got your Clue boots, and then a mini game boot. So they're like, not.
Yeah. It comes from a little different. Very disparate sources. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the which is kind of cool, but the problem with that, you mentioned that the medium boots they're pretty rare, but they're also one of the more useful items from clues. So what happens is like these crystals, the price of the crystals really depend on their components. So like the primordial boots are, let me look this up real quick. Actually, the primordial boots are the most expensive at 23 mil. The crystal, sorry, the primordial crystal is 23 mil because the dragon boots are just pretty easy to get. You get them from an easier Slayer monster. Whereas the Pegasian crystal that goes with the ranger boots, the Pegasian crystal is only 400k because the ranger boots are so hard to get. So all the money is behind the ranger boots, which are about 30 mil. By the way, 400k for the Pegasian crystal, it used to be like 20k. So that's pretty cool. It's gone up that much. And then you have the eternal boots, which are like, I don't know. Let's look those up.
No, the Eternal Crystal, that one's...
that's 6 mil. That's gone up. Yeah, they used to be like 2 mil.
Well, and I think maybe this is a good time to mention the reason why they're all going up is because part of the rewards for the Delve boss is basically, long story short, it's a pair of boots that you can put all 3 crystals into and get all of those stats all at once.
Yeah, and the boss isn't out yet. So, yeah, I'm also... I feel like Grandpa Simpson, Abe Simpson, sometimes when I talk about prices of things, because he'll be like, it's a nickel to whatever. When he references...
So I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time. Now, To take the ferry cost a nickel, and in those days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them. Give me 5 Bs for a quarter, you'd say. Now, where were we? Oh, yeah. The important thing was that I had an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time.
But my mind is so stuck like 10 years ago with prices, so I'll be like, Eternal boots are 7 mil. Like, when the hell did that happen? And it might have happened like 4 years ago. It's been that high. But in my head, I'm like, I remember doing Cerb and the boots were like 1.5 mil or something crazy. So,
well, they buffed that. The reason the Eternal is up is because they buffed it. They added a magic damage percentage as part of Project Rebalance. And so Eternal boots are now the meta to camp for all of TOA. Because of the shadow, anything you shadow, you want the Eternal boots for, because it gives a max hit. And so that's they've been that way for like a year or so.
my last 2 cons I have here is, so the lair is like within the Taverley dungeon, there's a cave, and it brings you, the Taverley dungeon is like a really great, it's one of the most like Dungeons and Dragons-esque caves, because there's like NPCs you can bump into, and there's things you can do. You get a key, which unlocks another part of the dungeon that has more monsters. Anyways, there's a whole bunch of things going on in this dungeon, but there's a Hellhound area, and then there's a cave that you walk through, and it brings you to the Cerberus lair. But it's, the Cerberus lair is like a hallway, and it splits into 3, and you have this guy called the Keymaster sitting there, and he's like this old sage, and he's kind of like the protector of Cerberus or whatever. And then you go in, and then there's Cerberus in his own lair. A lot of that seems like it would be really cool, but it's like, it's just not. Like, this Keymaster, who is he? Like, I want to know more about him. I want him to be more involved, but right now he just seems to be this place you teleport when you get the scrolls from the boss. I don't know. He seems like someone that would be interesting and cool and more integral to like Cerberus in the game, but I bet you most people have never talked to him. And then my last point is, the loot's really cool, but it feels like it should come way earlier. Like, I feel like you should be getting these boot up, like medium clues to get your ranger boots, which then upgrade. I know that medium clues are really rare. It's really rare to get from the medium clues, but I don't know. I guess the boots just feel like they should have come sooner. Like 91, is it 91 Slayer?
Mm-hmm.
That, I don't know. My gut is like, if that feels like a late time to get an upgrade from your dragon boots or your infinity boots or your ranger boots. It feels like a huge gap. And it's such a huge gap that people usually aren't even grinding out these items until you're getting close to 91 Slayer. So maybe I'm contradicting myself, but anyways, that's my notes at least. What do you got? What do you like and what do you hate?
Yeah, Cerberus is an interesting one. I actually was, so I'm taking part in a bingo for another clan. If anyone's a fan of Smithy TV, the YouTuber, taking part in his clan's bingo. And I had a Hellhounds task going into it, and there was a Cerb tile, so I went there. And 33 KC, I got my Smoldering Stone collection log, and 41 KC, I got my Primordial Crystal, which is very, very good, very exciting. And then I got up this morning, and I was just scrolling Reddit on, Ironscape, a bad place to go. But one of the posts I saw was someone at 2,700 Cerb KC without a Primordial Crystal. So just further confirmation, this game is so dumb and stupid and we shouldn't play it. And it's so unfair. It's a gambling simulator. Anyways, so yeah, I've just recently been at Cerb, and yeah, it's a cool boss. There's one huge thing, which is probably pretty obvious to anybody who's done it before, especially on an Iron Man, but we'll get to that. But yeah, the fight itself is actually pretty chill. The ghost mechanic is, it's actually so I guess to help people, we actually were just talking about this we had a new player in our clan who just got into Cerb for the first time. So 3 ghosts come out, and they're colored for each of the combat styles, as you would expect: red for melee, green for range, blue for mage. And they come out and they each shoot, like, I guess they shoot a ghost at you or something, and you have to pray against them. If you pray incorrectly, you'll lose 30 prayer points and 30 hit points. And the timing on it's weird because it's an older boss, so it's not like it's calculated, before the ghost hits you. And so anyways, the thing that kind of changed it, like made it click for me, was just you switch your prayer when you see your prayer points go down. And that makes the timing perfect every time. But anyways, so that's one of the attacks. And yeah, then there's the Gur attack, which is just shooting out some lava pools, which you just step away from. The fight itself is pretty straightforward, not too bad. The lair, I think it is, the 3-headed dog is a cool, Cerberus. It's kind of a weird thing where it's like our real world, like Cerberus is a character in our, Earth mythology. So having it pretty much unchanged, same name, kind of same idea, it's like guarding a river of souls. So it's kind of interesting. It's like almost a one-to-one analogy there. But
yeah, it's similar to when we were talking about Callisto and how that was pulled from, I think it was Greek mythology.
Oh yeah, you're right. So yeah, I think the Keymasters, the only thing I can really say about the Keymaster is he looks like that guy from Monty Python. What is he asks you the 3 questions before you go across the bridge. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Okay. Well, I'm sure somebody out there will know what I'm talking about. Anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I just want to talk about the big turd in the punch bowl, which is the stupid ghost mechanic. Because I guess like I said, so even if you pray correctly against the ghosts, you don't take any hit points damage, but you still lose 30 prayer points. Except if you have a spectral spirit shield, then that is halved. And it's just bullshit. So we talked last week about on an iron how Corp is, so like, I can't think of a good word besides problematic, but it's just not something you're going to grind out. And if you do, it's when you're at a max completionist Iron Man. So essentially nobody is going to Cerb with a spectral spirit shield on an Iron Man. And even on a main, it's still a 50 mil item that's only used at that one boss. So yeah, it's such a dumb, like arbitrary thing that has nothing to do with the boss itself, comes from a completely different piece of content. And I think the biggest issue I have is it comes from a piece of content that you would, if you're following kind of the intended progression of the game, you're going to do later. And I don't like when they do that kind of stuff in the game. It feels better when you get something on your way to that boss that will help with that boss. So yeah, that's my big gripe. And I think probably most people's gripe is when those ghosts come out, and they come out at least once per kill, sometimes twice. That's an entire prayer potion that gets used just to protect from that one special attack, which is a huge issue. And honestly, I think the only thing they need to do is just give that effect to another item in the game. Like obviously it can still stay with the spectral, but like, for example, I was going to say Yama, but that's another, I would like it to come from somewhere that you get to before there. And I don't really have a good suggestion, but I think it would be cool if there was something else, like not the stats or the effect of the spectral spirit shield, but just that prayer drain effect coming from something else in the game. The old heads are going to riot, but I don't care.
Okay, well, what if idea Mansdale's here? What if you have the option of killing the ghosts? So you can choose to keep damaging Cerberus. Wait, can you damage Cerberus at this time, or do you have to fully stop?
You can damage him.
Okay, so imagine you could stop and you could blow pipe the 3 ghosts really quickly, and then you could avoid everything, but you miss out on some. That's probably maybe a bit overpowered now that I say it, but I get what you're saying, because when I did this on my main, and first off, I did this before the death mechanics we have today. The way the death mechanics used to work is when you die, all your stuff dropped to the floor, and they lasted for about an hour. So sometimes it wasn't even bad to die. So I remember constantly risking it at Cerberus, because I knew if I died, it would just help me out, because I'd come back and I have double the supplies, and I can bring tons of prayer potions now because I know I have a bunch of food on the ground. Because you're constantly extending your trip. I have to do the math and do I want to sacrifice? Because if you get hit by the ghost, I'm almost certain that it doesn't drain your prayer. It just drains your health. Or you can pray against the ghost and it'll drain your prayer and doesn't drain your health. So I was constantly doing the math of if I keep my prayer at this, he's only draining me by 2 prayer instead of 30 prayer. And then I'll tank the next hit, so I just have to eat 2 Karen bombs because food's easier to come by, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. It is a bit weird in that sense. And it's just awkward to learn because, like you said, it's an older thing. So you have to change your prayer while the previous one is coming at you. So and it doesn't feel like you should be doing it that way because you haven't even been hit by the first one and you're now praying against the second one. But
here's an idea.
Yeah.
Just to go back to what you were saying about attacking them. What if you had to attack them with their attack style? So I don't even know if that'd be. I don't know. That would be really hard. You'd have to do it really fast, like attack, switch weapon, attack, switch weapon. Maybe they can give them a little delay before they attack, but something, I mean, that feels like something where you can still kill the boss in the way it's always been killed. So people can't say that it's like, changing it, but it rewards the people who want to go the extra step. Like, yeah, you bring a blowpipe, a DDS, and, like a trident, and you just pop, switch weapon, pop, kind of
That's
a thing.
good.
All right,
like
that is the Wilderness Podcast official fix for Cerberus. But
When
apart from
Project Xanaris comes out, people are going to be playing our service like crazy.
yeah,
But anyway, one last thing I want to say is like the ghost mechanics is so shit that there's been like 20 revisions to this boss and how it works because people keep finding out ways you can dodge the ghosts. Like it got to the point where when the ghosts come out, Cerberus like stands still for a second and then the ghosts spawn, but there's like a delay between it, and the delay was long enough that people could log out. So they would just log out, then log back in, and the ghosts were gone, and they would continue the fight. And there was so many things like that where like you could red click this and then the ghost wouldn't be able to attack you. And so they've had to change it. If you go to the strategy guide, you'll see there's like all these different strategies for avoiding the ghosts. And if you go to the wiki page and go to the change log, like there's a lot of changes that have happened. And some of them are because of people figuring out different ways to cheese the fight because the ghosts suck.
yeah, there is a really interesting thing going on with Cerberus as well, where the attacks, like the special attacks, are on a cycle based on the current hit points level. So there actually is, if you do want to get really sweaty with it, it's like keeping Cerberus above a certain hit point threshold until like a certain, like the 12th attack or something. And then after that attack goes by, it's called a ghost skip. And it's a whole thing. I don't know. It's RuneScape. We never really enjoy counting attacks, especially up to 12. Oh my gosh, that's like 4 times higher than we usually have to count to. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, though, I think Cerberus is cool. It has a dog pet, which is always S tier.
Hell yeah. It's so cute. Hell puppy.
The hell puppy. Yeah.
Oh,
I wish it had 3 heads like Cerberus does, but it is I do love the hell puppy. I would love to have it. But yeah, I probably am not going back to that boss anytime soon because I got the big drop. But I will say with this new update, they've added value to every single one of those crystals now with that delve boss. So I will be going back, and I have ranger boots, so I kind of have to. But yeah, I think Cerberus is overall a pretty good boss. It's just that stupid prayer drain mechanic on an Iron Man when prayer potions are so hard to come by in the first place. It's brutal.
Now, my memory might be failing me here, but oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about when the boss was released. October 2015 is when the boss came out. August 2015 is when the boss came out, August 27th. So it's like 10 years old at this point, but I have a vague memory of people actually getting banned from trying to cheese the boss and avoid the ghosts. I just want to drop that in there. I can't confirm it, but I think I have memories of people getting banned because of it. I'd have to look it up some more though. Anyway, yeah. What else is there to talk about? I can't think of anything. Yeah.
I think that's all I have to say.
Cool. Okay. So what do you think? Smash or pass?
I'm going to go with smash. It's not something that I look forward to necessarily, but when I get a Hellhounds task, I can say, oh yeah, I'll go do that. Side note, little piece of advice. If you do get a Hellhounds task, the answer is never to actually go kill Hellhounds. Even pre-91, I really enjoy going to Calvarion for Hellhounds because the little minions he spawns count as Hellhounds, and it's a good excuse to go do some wildy bossing. But yeah, I'll say smash.
Awesome. I am going to say smash too. And also Hellhounds are such a great task overall, I think, because you could, like, I know when I get them sometimes, there's so many spots you can go with a cannon and you just blast through the task so quickly. So the loot, there's no loot from Hellhounds except for the Smoldering Stone, which is like 1 in 32,000, which I got, by the way, which is why it's sitting in my bank. Yeah. So yeah, it's smash too because it's a friggin' dog. Dogs are the best.
Yeah. Killing dogs is my favorite. Wait.
And then you get one though. You get a puppy at some point. So it's like,
and you keep track of it. You do. I think a dog should probably be taken away from you though, because you're taking into all these dangerous encounters. And I mean, heck, half the time you're losing it. I mean, if a person repeatedly, not that this is possible, but repeatedly gets a dog and then dies right in front of it, and then it's just left wandering around. This other person comes and picks it up, and then you have to go pay $1 million to get it back. I don't know. It's a toxic cycle there.
I think you can talk to the dog though, so I think like
Okay.
more than meets the eye. I think he cracks wise a little bit too. So yeah, who knows what's going on there? I haven't killed this boss in a really, really, really long time. Like I'm talking about like over 5 years. I haven't touched this boss. I just haven't been getting Slayer tasks, and you can't kill this unless you have a Slayer task. That's as well. And I just haven't got on my main. I probably have it blocked, don't even realize it. But when I did do it, I remember enjoying the fight. Like I never hated it. The fight's not super long. You can get enough kills in one trip that it feels nice. So yeah, definitely a smash for me. Great. All right. So just like 1 month later, basically on October 1st, 2015, we get our fourth Slayer boss, everyone's favorite, Abyssal Sire. We love this boss, don't we? And yeah, this is an interesting one. So I'll go through my pros and cons. I think the vibe of the Abyssal Sire is kind of cool. Like I've been watching Stranger Things with my wife, and I only had seen the first season. So we're kind of going through the rest of the seasons that I haven't seen yet. And
where are you at?
Season 3, we have the last episode tonight to watch.
Ooh, yeah.
But if you've seen Stranger Things, like a lot of like the upside down or like the weave, you know what I mean? Like the supernatural part of it, it kind of gives me the same vibe as Sire does. Like you walk into the Sire's lair and the walls are like alive. You feel like you could hurt the walls, and there's eyes everywhere and weird tentacles that could whip you at any moment. So I think the vibe is kind of cool that you're in this like abyssal chamber where everything's organic and alive. I think there's like a unique journey when you're killing it because there's so many different phases. I like that it's, like you go through this journey where the way the fight works is, and it's also why people hate. Okay, so my pro here is there's a unique journey when killing it. And then my con is the journey gets old really quick. So eventually you're like, can we just cut out all this shit? Because when you walk into the fight, you have this big Abyssal Sire, and he's sitting on this organic throne, this meat throne, and he's got these like weird, I think, appendages. Like he's hooked into this thing. He's hooked into the chamber. And you can't really damage it, but he can damage you. So what you have to do is you have to cast a smoke spell. Is it smoke or shadow?
It is shadow.
Okay, so you have to cast a shadow spell, which is like the only time you're ever going to cast a shadow spell from the ancient spell book. And then it puts the boss to sleep or something, incapacitates them. And then there's these ventilators or these like organic machinery things. And you have to then attack those and blow them up. But you can't do it when it's awake because it has these tentacles that are like curled over and blocking it. Or no, they're blocking it though, so you can't really damage them. But when you use the shadow spell on the Sire, the tentacles unguard it. So you kill the ventilator things. The Sire steps off its throne. Now you're gonna fight each other, and then you get it down to a certain percentage of health, and then he walks down and he goes to like the middle of the room a bit, and he's gonna shoot these poison bubbles underneath you, and then you do enough damage, and he teleports you in front of him, and then he's gonna explode. But then all these little these abyssal minions spawn, and they're attacking you as well. So you can kind of heal them, but then you finally kill the boss. So that's what I mean by the journey. You have all these different things you're kind of doing, which I think is cool at first. But then it's a con because, I don't know, how do you feel about that journey? Like a lot of people hate it after a point. I'm guessing you do too.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing people said about, well, any of the like prep, like bosses where you have to do a prep phase. Like Duke, or I mean, even I've said it about like the TOA puzzles. It's like it's so thematic and cool, but when you have to do something 1,000 times, like I wish it could just be the first like 5 times and then you could skip it.
It's a little bit of a filler. Yeah, it feels a bit filler. Yeah, like people just want to kill the boss. Why do I have to kill these vents? I like that there's like, so I have here different tech to use. I don't know why I put that there. Maybe said there's just like different spec weapons, there's different styles. Like I remember lots of videos would tell you to do a Dragon Warhammer spec, but I never did it because the phase that I hated the most was the one where he walks into the middle of the room before he teleports you and he spawns the poison underneath you. I hated that. I found it like super annoying. So I would save all my special attacks for that phase so that I could just get through it as fast as possible and he would teleport me out. So I think I like that there's just like, there's different strats you can use. and depending on what you want, like some people, I wouldn't be surprised if some people, oh no, never mind. I was going to say some people aren't using ancient magics, but near the end of the fight, you have all these minions, so you can use your ancient magics to heal yourself off the minions. But there's a lot of people who are going to skip that because they're confident they're just going to kill the boss. And then you have the option, do you teleport to your player-owned house and teleport back? Or do you go for the second kill? And most of the time, someone's going to go to their POH. But
No,
I think that's what I meant. I wrote some of these notes a little bit ago. But
no, that's a really valid point. There's a lot of different ways. You can use magic or range against the vents, and then you can use magic or melee against like the final phase. There's like shadow only is something a lot of people do.
Interesting.
And yeah,
now with the Demon Bane weapons, just probably the Purging Staff, and then the Scorching Bow you could probably bring out as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Scorching Bow. No, I like when I started doing it on my main, the meta was to use the Fang to kind of, do what the Fang does and bypass the defense. But there's also, there's methods where you reduce its defense. But I think obviously the meta now is to use an Ember Light, so your Demon Bane weapon, and then whatever your highest hitting DPS spec weapon is in the final phase, whether that's Dragon Claws or Void Waker or Burning Claws or Crystal Halberd.
Right.
So there are a lot of different things. And I do think it actually is a really good point and important for the pros and cons, because it feels, I love the bosses where there's like, especially on an Iron Man and on a main, when you're like, going through your bank and seeing what you can afford, it is very fun to be like, oh, like, I'm going to try it out with this weapon, and then, okay, I'm going to try it out with this weapon. And it's fun to like have all these different options, as opposed to the majority of these bosses, going in what weapon you're going to be using for the entire grind. If like Kraken, for example, you're going to use magic. If you have a trident, you're going to use it. If you have a Sang, you might use it. And if you have a shadow, like, exactly where on your account's progression, what item you're going to be using. So it's cool when there's something that like, maybe I'll try the Burning Claws, but I like the Dragon Claws better, Void Waker spec, whatever. Or like, man, this is taking forever, I'll bring a defense reduction spec kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And like kind of what you're saying, where people are going to be saving their special attacks for the very last phase where the minions spawn. But I know myself, like I felt that last phase was very safe because I could heal up really easily off the minions. But when I'm doing that, I'm not attacking the boss at all. So I'm losing DPS. Whereas if you're good enough, why are you going to heal on the last phase when you could just keep killing the boss? You can kill him way faster. So yeah, I like how your playstyle against Sire can almost evolve as you evolve as a player, and your account gets better and changes and different weapons. Like it's almost like the fight's going to change every time you go back. Maybe.
Yep.
So that's neat. The way the uniques are done is different, and it's kind of cool. So Sire doesn't like really drop any uniques. It drops this thing called the Unsired, which is a unique, but it's the only drop that Sire will drop that's unique. Ooh, what a way of saying that. But it's 1 in 100, and it does nothing essentially, but you have to bring it to this area and then give it to like another abyssal demon thingy. I don't know. You just put it into this pool, and then you get the unique. So it's almost like you get it's like when you do a raid and you see the purple chest at the end of the raid, you're like, oh, purple chest, that's exciting. And then you get to the second part of excitement when you get to see what is inside. It's kind of like the same idea. So it's a unique way of doing it. I'm not sure if we have any other examples of that I can think of like that has been released yet that we've talked about. I don't think so. Now, the con part though is it can be very frustrating. The uniques kind of suck overall because the Unsired, it gives you get the Abyssal Bludgeon, which is a two-handed crush weapon, which looks kind of cool, but you need 3 pieces to make it, which is, I guess it's not really a big deal, but the bludgeon itself is, it's 30 mil right now. Well, I guess it fluctuates in price, but it's one of those bosses that like not a lot of people like to get. So then once you get a bludgeon piece, you're like, ugh, I kind of feel a bit more compelled to grind out the other 2 pieces so I can actually use this, and it's not just taking up space. So you got the 3 pieces of the bludgeon, and then you have the Abyssal Dagger, which is kind of cool. I think it came out with this boss. You have an Abbey Whip, which is you get it from normal Abbey demons, and then you get the Jar of Miasmum, an Abyssal Head, which nobody wants that, and then you get the Orphan, which is the pet. So it sucks that you can get a unique which it could be something you really, really want, and then you get the Abyssal Head, which is like just prayer experience or whatever. It's not great.
It's a collection log.
Yeah, it's on the collection log. So the uniques are cool, but the non it can maybe feel a bit frustrating, especially if you don't like the boss. I like that the Slayer level. So far, all of our Slayer bosses, they had their Slayer level. You need to kill them, but the Abyssal Demon is just tied to. The Abyssal Sire is just tied to the Abyssal Demon level. So you just need 85, which is the same to kill the regular variant. So I like how it's kind of like you don't need it's not like you can do the Abyssal Demons and then you need a higher level to kill the Sire. I like that they're the same. And then the non-unique loot kind of sucks. And then I think that all that part of it, plus the way the uniques work, can be a bit frustrating, which I think Sire gets a lot of hate, and I think that's why. Anywho, what do you think? Your thoughts on Sire? What do you love? What do you hate?
So I don't even really want to talk about Sire's mechanics because we've been talking about them a lot, both in my Poll 84 episode with Mitty, and I think me and you talked about it recently as well. Oh no, it was the Slayer episode. Anyways, I've talked a lot about Sire recently, and Jagex listened to the podcast, and they are changing Sire a lot. So yes, the current state of Sire is bad and annoying, but they're fixing it. So I don't really want to, go off on this whole thing that most people already know anyways. But so I think the mechanics, speaking of it as if they are already changed, I think the mechanics are not too bad. As far as you said exactly what I was going to say, the unsired mechanic, if you want to call it a mechanic, is it mirrors like seeing a purple, where it's like it doubles the dopamine. And generally, from what I've talked to other people, I think everybody likes that because you're doubling the dopamine. You get the dopamine when you see the drop, and then you get the dopamine or lack of dopamine when you get to see what it actually is. So that's fun. I had a very good experience at Sire. I went there for a bludgeon, and I got my bludgeon. And anything I do past this point is where Sire starts to get really frustrating for people because you still get bludgeon pieces. So
you
not
can't
only
sell them on their own, you need to, as a main, you still need to get all three of them just to sell. So that's what's frustrating too, is you get this piece, you're like, it's worth 10 mil kind of, because the bludgeon's worth 30 mil and this is 1 out of 3, but I can't sell it till I get the other 2. So fuck, god damn it.
I will say that Jagex has made a big effort in the past couple of years to re-involve Crush into, the game. So I went for a bludgeon because I wanted it at the Wilderness bosses. I wanted it at Araxor. I wanted it at, there's another one. I know Nightmare, you use Crush. So a lot of the new bosses they've been introducing, I guess Araxor is probably the biggest one that comes to mind, involves Crush. And so I think that, that makes it actually a boss that's worth going to, which it hasn't been pretty much ever since it released. I mean, I think the bludgeon was a lot better, or not better, but other stuff has come out that is better. So it got replaced. But I went and got a bludgeon because there's a reason to have a bludgeon even in 2025 is I guess what I'm trying to say. So I'll give it credit for that. I really like the pet, just having basically an abyssal demon following you around. You don't see it very often, but I mean, the fight it's just okay. And this is the fight after all these changes presumably go into effect. It's still just okay. I do actually like the third phase. It has that kind of rhythmic feel of running back and, you hit, you move in an L, you hit, you move in an L. I do think that part of it's cool, but it's just kind of whatever, and it's a Slayer boss. So you get assigned 200 of them and you don't ever want to kill 200 of them.
Yeah. I think the average person probably kills a handful of them, and then they're like, back, I'm going to the regular demons to finish this bad boy off.
Exactly. Yeah,
what
that's
do you
pretty
think
much
of the bludgeon? Does it feel what do you like about it? About it?
The spec is useless.
It has so much potential. We'll talk about that in a minute.
It's funny because I grinded Theater of Blood and got my Avernic, and then I've gotten a bunch of two-handed weapons, and so it's very interesting from a DPS calculating standpoint, two-handed weapons versus a one-handed weapon and an Avernic. But it's what I use it. Pretty much all I've used it on my account so far is Raxor and Tecton and Calvarion, I guess. I haven't done too much with the bludgeon there, but it's from a look standpoint, I think it's really cool. And I do wish there was more of a use case for it more often, but I'm glad I have it. And especially, like I said, with how much they've been pushing Crush, I think it's good at... No, I don't think it's good at Huey. I don't know. But yeah, I have... It's kind of the... It's like the Trident of the Swamp for Crush, It's like... It's the best you're going to get for quite a while for a Crush weapon. I mean, like, I think Inquisitor's Mace is kind of the next big Crush weapon. So, like, it's good to have that tier of that attack style for whenever, whatever Crush comes up. It's nice that whatever new boss comes out or new raid or whatever, if there's a Crush boss in there, that'll be probably what I use.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think it has a lot of potential, and it looks cool. It looks like, I'm looking at it right now. It's very spiky. It looks like it hurt to use, but whatever. Here's a little fun fact. The Abyssal, where is it here? The weight of the Abyssal Bludgeon weighs less than the 3 components together. So if you have the 3 components in your inventory, that's going to weigh more than what the Bludgeon actually weighs.
Maybe there's like a bunch of extraneous, parts you're like carving off to make them fit together.
That's true. And you're like, maybe like letting like, there's like maybe like blood and stuff you got to dry out. So it's like, maybe the pieces you have are like kind of wet. When you get like a wet paper towel and it's like heavier and you let it dry.
Yeah, I feel like what we're not saying, and probably what we shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it anyways. The Unsired it's the Sire's like, it's like a fetus that falls out of the Sire, and you are, taking pieces.
That's true. Like, I never thought about that.
You are offering it up and you are breaking it apart to take pieces to make this weapon out of. So it's not a great situation.
Yeah, and the pieces, you have the axon, which I don't know what that is. Someone in the medical field probably knows. And then you have the spine and the claw as well. You're putting together. So that's what the bludgeon is. And also, by the way, the abyssal whip is also, I think it's the spine of a demon. So it's pretty gnarly, but Oh,
I never really thought about. That's awesome to think about.
I like the idea of like, you're just so bad at like when you kill, like harvesting the demon that you're constantly just mangling the spine. But the one time, it's all intact. This thing's strong. Damn. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, that's always a fun, that's always a fun piece of RuneScape drops is like, you're going for the Fang. It's just right there every time. But for some reason, 1 in 800 times you actually get the Fang, And
then let's talk about the special attack real quick, because I think the idea of it's cool. And then just like everything that looks cool in this game, it's sometimes useless.
Yep.
So the special attack is called Penance. I like how they give them all names, but you deal an increase of 0.5% damage for every prayer point you're missing. So if you're at 0 prayer points, you're going to hit a lot harder. The problem is I'm almost certain that like you're never wanting to use it. I've used it a bunch and I'm always disappointed by the damage it outputs. Maybe I'm just, maybe it's the whole blowpipe thing where you miss every time you use it and you need the heal. But I like the idea of like, oh, I'm low prayer points. I'm going to friggin', do this cool special attack. And then it's like, oh, you hit 14. You're like, oh, that's way less than what if I just randomly smacked it, but whatever.
Yeah, there's pretty much, I can't think of a single place in the game where you use the bludgeon spec.
No.
But
the special attack of the abyssal bludgeon can once again give its damage increase effect.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing is for like years it didn't even work.
Not even years. It looks like a long time because that's 2025. That was last month.
Yeah.
This boss has been out since 2015.
Yeah, I don't know how long it was out of commission, but for some reason it just didn't work. I don't know if it was
that's probably why every time I've used it, it sucked. And I was like, I don't know, what's the point of using this?
I can report from the field. I've used it post change. It still sucks.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, well, what else is there to talk about? And of course, the way the boss looks in game, a little bit silly. Like he kind of opens up his chest cavity and there's like a giant purple sphere that can look a little bit goofy, but they have a cool picture of it when it released that they shared. That looks really cool. So if you look at the official artwork of it, pretend that's what it looks like, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's one of those bosses where it has this, big cavity that opens up. There's a lot of tentacles around, so there's a lot of jokes to be made that are made about Sire, and So I don't really have a lot to say about the way he looks.
It has a huge overlap with the anime community, and I can't figure that one out. So what do you think? Are you an anime watcher? Are you going to smash, or are you whatever the opposite of anime lovers are you going to pass?
I am unfortunately the opposite of an anime lover, and I'm not a Sire lover either. I think I recommend doing what I did, get your bludgeon and get out. But yeah, I'm going to pass.
I so badly want this to smash it because I think it has so much potential. But yeah, I'm also going to pass as well. And it's similar to Cerberus, where like they have this problem when these bosses came out that RuneScape was starting to get really popular, and you know, they wanted everyone to be able to kill it. But instead of doing what Zolvar does, even though Zolvar came out previously, where it's like your own instance, you walk into a room and there's 4 hallways and they each lead to a different Sire. Cerberus is the same thing. You walk in, there's 3 hallways, they each lead to a different Cerberus. So this is a way to allow more people to kill it at once on a world. But yeah, that's weird. Yeah, so I'm gonna pass as well. Well, we're gonna keep talking about demons because demons are a thing in RuneScape. Next up is not a year later, like 6 months later or so, June 16th, 2016, we have a new boss called Skotizo coming out. And what I love is like, so far this episode, every boss really feels like unique. It's like its own thing in like so many different ways. Even like Cerberus, like not Cerberus, like Sire, like the journey behind it. And then you have Cerberus, which is maybe a more, the word I want to use is conducive fight, but I know that's not the word I should be using. Skotizo is kind of cool because you can't just fight it. You need to obtain a totem, and the totem is made similar to like the bludgeon. It's 3 pieces you put together, and you can only get them from monsters within the catacombs, which catacombs are kind of weird. They feel like a very private servery because it's just like all these different squared rooms. But anyways, we don't have to go. That works. I don't know how. I can't explain it. But yeah, you get the totem piece, and then you fight Skotizo, which is pretty cool. This is also when the arc light came out, so nobody was using the arc light to kill Sire beforehand. I don't know what they were using, maybe a Hasta or something. So here's my pros. I think the setting works. Like I said, the catacombs, when I look at it, I feel like, oh, this is just like Neve's Cave, how it was originally. And it feels like very private servery, but somehow it just kind of works. Like I don't really...
Did Skotizo release with the catacombs of Kourend?
Yeah, I'm almost certain it did. It all like came out as one. I'm going to try to look that up as we talk about it. Where'd it go? Skotizo. I'm pretty sure it did though. And so the setting kind of works. The lore works too. So like this is Zaya. Let me look up. When did Zaya release? Zaya would have came out beforehand, but
yeah, this was the whole like Zaya came out and it was this giant empty space, and then they started filling it in from a Reddit post.
But Zaya is its own thing, and really, part of the reason why old school RuneScape made Zaya was because this was at a time where RuneScape 3 was kind of like the main thing Jagex cared about, so none of the lore was allowed to contradict RuneScape 3. So they did this by having this new continent that they just pretend like maybe it got forgotten in between old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3 in terms of the lore and the timeline. Yeah, but as a way to connect it, like during the God Wars, like Skotizo was somehow with Zamorak, like aligned with Zamorak, and was helping him in this God Wars. And I think he went on this like expedition to Zaya, maybe not knowing, but like somehow went to Zaya. And Zaya's like all about like Zarek, who like this weird king person came across this like dark altar and had all this mysterious power. There's a bunch of stuff going on there, but basically Skotizo found this dark altar as well and was like, yo, I'm not going back. I'm going to stay here because I feel pretty strong with this thing. And I could probably, I don't know. Like he just kind of like was like, you know, I'm going to stay here. Zaya's pretty cool. You guys keep fucking up the wilderness and all that stuff in Gilinoy, and I'm just going to chill with this like dark relic magic stuff. Go if you really want that's the Dills version of it. I'm probably mixing. It's been a while. I'm going to say that every time I talk about lore. It's been a while. I'm just going off what I remember. So I think the lore does work. Like they found a cool way to tie it in. Whereas I felt with like Sire and Cerberus, they're just there for whatever reason, which I guess is fine too. The loot is fine. Like you're gonna kill it when you get totem pieces because the loot is not horrible. It's, you know, got some stuff, and the mechanics are fine too. It's not a super hard fight. They really encourage you to use the arc light there. I wonder if the other two could take its place as well. But they have these like totems that make basically give defensive bonuses because Skotizo. So you're really highly encouraged to take out the totems as they spawn. And if you have an arc light, you can one hit it. If you're not using an arc light, it might take a few more hits, but But yeah, the fight itself is fine. You can also, if you're strong enough, you can just ignore the totems and tank Skotizo and just kill him outright with it. That being said, there are elements of it that feel kind of random, I guess. Like the boss itself, I can't really put my finger on it, but it just feels out of place. And I think it's because while the loot is cool, it doesn't really have any uniques, and it drops clue scrolls all the time when you kill it. So it just a little, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense to me. So it doesn't really feel like a full-fledged boss. Like maybe is it? I don't even know if do they consider it a boss or is it a demi-boss? I'm not too sure, but yeah, you got like the Jar of Darkness, you have the pet Skotizo, and you have Dark Claws, which I think the only thing it does is it turns your mud skipper flippers into Dark Claw flippers, so you can swim with them.
Or the Slayer helm.
Yeah, that's right. And you can recolor it with the Slayer helmet. So yeah, there's no weapon, like there's no gear or anything you're getting from it. Yeah, but like the other loot is good. Like every kill's worth about 150k, so you're gonna kill it because why not? I don't know. What are your thoughts? How do you think of this Skotizo fella?
I don't like Skotizo. I really do love the totem system. It adds a fun element to like trading Slayer because basically like if you don't, I mean, you're right that almost every Slayer task is in the catacombs, and if you don't have a good reason not to do it in the catacombs, which usually is because you can't cannon in the catacombs. So if you want to cannon something, you have to go somewhere else. But generally speaking, I mean, yeah, I probably do 90% of like general mob Slayer tasks in the catacombs just for the totem chance and because it's pretty fast and easy to get to there. And I think it's cool that as you're doing just general Slayer, you get these pieces that lead you to this boss. But for the loot, I think it's probably wise that there isn't like a best in slot weapon there. Because
yeah, it does make yep.
It's almost like a little icing on the top as opposed to feeling like this thing you have to do every single Slayer task in the catacombs, which I think some people probably do feel that way just for like collection log purposes. But the boss fight itself, it's just those damn totems that are so annoying because they're I maybe once I've had a kill where I don't have to kill any of the totems, but so there's 4 totems. Each totem represents I believe 25% damage or like accuracy reduction or something. So when all 4 of them are out, it's a very low. I don't think it's 100% invulnerability from Skotizo, but it's very hard to hit. And so like 3 of them are out, it's like 75% damage reduction or something like that. But the problem is the arena is huge and the totems are, they're just random. So basically our recent bingo we were allowing, because we didn't have a Skotizo tile specifically, we were allowing people to use their stacked totems for hard clues because Skotizo has a guaranteed hard clue and 1 in 5 an elite clue. So it's great for clues. And because we didn't have like, Skotizo, like Dark Claw or something on the bingo board, we allowed people to use totems that they had gotten before the bingo. And so I had like 27, I think, totems stacked.
Oh, wow. I thought I was like balling with 7, but damn. Greater Demon's Task.
And then my teammate got our hard clues tile on the first day before I sent any of them. So I didn't send any of them during bingo and I waited till after bingo. And I sent all of them. I stacked up my hard clues, did all my hard clues. And so I did a bunch of Skotizo over a couple days. And that... My strategy was I used a scorching bow and I basically just kept running in a circle around the arena the whole time, just running and gunning because those stupid totems are so annoying that you just have to keep moving and killing them as you come across them running in a circle. And that was just dumb. It was a really frustrating fight.
When I did it, because there's the 4 totems. And like you said, you could, especially if you don't have the bow, you could spend the whole fight running in a circle, killing one, hitting them all because it's such a big arena. But my rule of thumb was always, if you have, like, wait till you have 4, what was it? Like, basically, I would just tank them until I had 4 totems or up, and then I would go around and killing them all. So I would just tank it until... You would just tank it until you're like, oh my God, this is frustrating. I'm so sick of seeing zeros. I'm going to go run around and hit all these ones. But by the time you hit them all, the next one's spawning and the second one's spawning. And
yeah.
Anyhow. Just run
I
the
think
marathon.
I think it would be like a good thing if they like always spawned in a set pattern. So they just like if they started on the south one and then they just go clockwise, something like that, to where you know which ones are going to be spawning as opposed to them being random. Because half the time you kill one, you run to the next one, and the one you just killed is already like come back, and then you have to run back. And so like that little thing could make it a little more satisfying of like, okay, I'm running in a clockwise circle, and I know that the one I'm running to is going to be the next one to spawn. Like that kind of thing would really improve the fight. That would be like the most like simple fix in my opinion. But generally speaking, they're just annoying. The arena is so big and unnecessarily big. I mean, Skotizo doesn't move around, so he just stands in the middle. And so there's no reason for the arena to be that big except to just drain your run and make the fight last longer. So yeah, as far as that goes, yeah, I don't really have anything good to say about the fight itself. But yeah, the guaranteed hard clue drop, I think, is actually pretty cool considering that there's no best in slot weapons or anything. It's somewhere like, I mean, that's exactly what I did. I stacked them up until I was ready to do a bunch of hard clues. And then I got like you can do a Skotizo on a black or greater demon task. So I waited for one of those and killed them all. And that was that. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about Skotizo. It's just a weird, like offshoot boss that you never feel like you have to kill it, but it's not the worst time in the world when you send them all and you can stack up some hard clues.
Yeah, just I guess the way the totems work and the drop rates, it's like both one of the easiest pets to get, and it's like farming. It's both the easiest pet to get and the hardest pet to get because like it's 1 in 65, so that's a pretty low drop rate in terms of how many times you have to kill a boss to get a pet. But just because you have to grind out all the totems, that turns out to be like way. It could be a way longer grind, but for like a lot of people, I think it's a pet that people get spooned often, and it becomes like, it was my very first pet that I ever got because I think of that, the rarity of it. But you go unlucky, you could be there forever. So that's neat. But a fun fact, the pet didn't even come out with it on release. It came out 8 months later. There was no pet originally, and I think flippers were the dark claws were added as well. And by the way, it had a spelling error. It spelled emanate wrong, and that didn't get caught until 2021. So like 5 years it took for someone to notice that it was. Yeah. Is there are we missing anything? Anything you want to talk? Anything else, or do you want to give?
Well, let's move on. I don't care much for Skotizo.
Okay, so smash or pass. You have to say it, or it's not official.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to stack them up and smash when I have them, but generally speaking, I'm going to pass.
You're gonna pass. People are gonna probably get mad at me for this because this is such a dumb reason to give it a smash, but it was my first pet, so I have it's good vibes for me. I have a lot of great memories of Skotizo. It's my very first pet. I was so excited. Oh my! I
do have to say, when I got Skotizo pet on my 5th KC on my main, and I went to the GE and I was just like, guys, look at this thing I just got, and it was legitimately, everybody said nobody cares. Because it's like such a common pet. Like I was so like heartbroken that nobody was like happy for me about getting a pet.
Oh gosh, that's dicks. You were in the wrong world. You're in the wrong world.
I might have been in a like 2K total world, so you're never gonna. Yeah, no, but everybody there is so jaded and angry.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you gotta go to World 2. That's where all the fun stuff happens. All right, let's move on to. I think this is gonna be the last boss we can talk about today, but. It works. We'll talk about why. The last boss. Actually, I think this is like episode like 5 of the podcast or something when this boss came out. It's Obor. It came out October 6th, 2016, which is interesting. We're kind of getting 2 bosses a year, which is like, is that a lot? It doesn't sound like that much. But then again, when you only had like 20 something bosses at this point, maybe it feels like a lot. Well, I don't know. We've only got double that, so maybe it's about right. But anywho, Obor came out. It is a hill giant boss. The first free-to-play boss, which is great. Any love to free-to-play, that's always a pro for me. I'll go through my pros and cons here, but the hill giant, that's such an iconic monster. Like, everyone's been there. Everyone's got some memories of farming those hill giants. It drops a unique weapon, which is the hill giant club, which is like, it's a free-to-play weapon. It's on par with the rune two-hander, but instead of it being more focused on slash, it's more focused on crush. So what that means is, one, it looks really cool when you're holding it. You'll just hold this giant club over your shoulder like you do with a Darok. Oh my god, I just said that. Darok's axe. I had a friend who called it D-Harrock, so I'm so used to saying that when I was a kid. The Darrock's axe, or like the maul, like the way you hold it over your shoulder. And because it's crush, if you're facing someone in like rune armor, it's kind of like a best in slot. And then there's like kind of the key mechanics. There's a key mechanic with it, which is kind of like the totem, but the difference is you kill hill giants and you get a chance at a key, and the key you fight the Obor with. And then really my only con is like the club isn't a best in slot. It's just like has better crush than a rude two-hander, but you know, it's usually not really worth risking it unless you have the money to drop it. So I wish it was actually a little bit better than the rune two-hander, just because like, I don't know. I like I said, I want to give some free to play power creep. So yeah, that's kind of cool. What do you think of Obor?
I don't know if I can even conceive anything good to say about Obor. I had to scroll down. I can't believe it's like a year and a half until Bryophyta came out. I would have put all my money on they came out at the same time. But no, I mean, I only have ever killed this boss during bingos. You know, you get, I still don't, I've never gotten a giant key on my Iron Man. Either of the two giant keys. I've just never had any reason to kill those giants. But it's very annoying, especially if you're actually going for it, like during bingos. The only consolation for going for it during bingos is you can also get the champion scroll, which is usually like a bingo tile as well. But yeah, you get all these, and you know, every account has to get at least 5 so they can do all of the combat achievements. But you know, it takes a long time to get the keys, and then the boss fight's kind of whatever, and then the club is pretty meh in my opinion. Yeah, like I think like you're saying, from looks perspective, it's cool. I don't see why it couldn't at least have the same stats as like the Sarachnis Cudgel or something, or even I think it could be way better, because like grinding that out would be awful in comparison to like, you know, even getting like grinding out Sarachnis for a cudgel, like that could be a solid mid-game crush weapon. I mean, these days it's just the zombie axe is the mid-game crush weapon, and it's 100 times easier to get. So I think they could give that one a huge buff, give some reason to go there. But yeah, I kind of write this one off as a boss in general. It's pretty nothing in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely weird, and a lot of it I think because it's a free to play boss, like they wanted to like keep it a little toned down. The club itself is 1.6 mil, which is great. Free to play players have something to grind out that's worth some money. That being said, the reason it's so expensive is just because free to play risk fighting. So people are bringing that and being like, oh, you know, you have a chance at killing me and getting 1.5 mil, which otherwise you're risking. I've done free to play PKing. You're risking like 20K, and you're usually also protecting the giant club. So yeah, I don't know. But the weird part is it can slash spider webs, which usually is just slash weapons that can. Yeah, I'm trying
huge.
To see. So yeah, the giant key, let's see, it's kind of, yeah, you get it. It's 1 out of 64 chance from, 1 out of 128 chance at getting it from a hill giant. But if you go to the wilderness, there's a double chance. So I really like this. I liked min-maxing some of my accounts early on. So my iron, I think I did all my hill giants out in the wilderness, and I would just farm it just because I wanted some early money. I have a 807 account I played at one point, which is like a combat only Iron Man. And I did a lot of hill giant farming because I wanted the keys, because it's, especially like lower level, it's not terrible money. It's like the average kill is only 30K a kill, but still that's a lot more than anything else at a very low level. Drops a lot of rune items. So for a lot of Iron Men, I think this was a huge buff, because you can now get a rune battle axe from Obor, which previously, like, I think you had to like, you could maybe only buy like a rune longsword, or so like if there's a free to play only Iron Man, like pain in the ass to get any rune weapons. So getting a rune battle axe from a boss was a big deal, because no other monsters dropped rune weapons in free to play at this point. So that's cool. But and it always drops it's kind of like Skotizo again. They must have really loved clue scrolls at this point, because it always drops the beginner clue scroll. So that's got that going. I think that's it. Obor translates to giant in the Slovak language. Or is good friends with Kovac? Obor and Kovac are friends, which is Kovac is Giant's Foundry dude. That's fun. That is kind of fun, actually.
I think that comes up in the quest, actually.
Oh, right on. Cool. Spacebar through that, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Obor for you. What do you think? That was a quick boss. There's not much to talk about. What do you think of Obor?
Yeah, that's a hard pass for me.
Oh wow! It's a smash for me because I'm so excited for like a free to play boss, and I have some gripes with how they did Bryophyta, which we will talk about when we get there, which is not this episode. But I thought Obor was kind of cool, and especially for free to play players. Like I always down for some free to play love. So let's call it there for today because there's no way we're going to be able to get through the next one in anything timely. So the next PVM content we're going to be talking about is our very first raid, Chambers of Xeric, on part 5.
I've been learning Chambers of Xeric, and hopefully by the next time we record, I can come back with, here we go, podcast luck again. Hopefully I have a purple from there, but I'll put it in the ether.
We'll see. Next episode, we got some big ones, but this was in terms of like the bosses we talked about, this is great. I feel like every boss feels very unique. They're trying different things out. They're not. None of these bosses feel like particularly lazy design. There might be elements that were like, maybe a bit lazy, but that's in hindsight. I think if we were playing in 2015 when these were released, they would have felt very fresh and new and innovative in terms of the way RuneScape game design is. So yeah, some really cool stuff. And I think next week is just going to be picking up. Like, I'm excited. So we got some cool stuff coming down. And I feel like every episode from now on, we're going to be saying, we got some cool stuff coming down the line. Because, yeah, they've really just, they've got like the bossing down. Everything's just built off each other. We're in a great place. And we don't get a whole lot of stinkers between now and the end of the series. But that being said, there are some. So hang on tight.
I'm looking at the notes for the next week's bosses, and you do have one where you have, what the fuck even is this? So yeah, there's some stinkers.
Can't wait. Okay, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and we will close out the show. All right, this is take 3 of the Grand Exchange segment. Yeah, it's take 3. Guys, it's just too friggin' early in the morning for me. It's like 7 a.m. I don't know why I waited. Well, anyways, doesn't matter. It's just a bad time to do it. But guys, we're going to the Grand Exchange, and this is a segment where I basically talk about Patreon for a second. If you want to support the show and show some love and all that stuff, you can go to patreon.com/TheWildernessPodcast. And we got a few free members joining. I didn't even know that was a thing. So shout out to Andy T, Jared M, Michael C, and Joe J. Thank you guys so much for signing up as a member. I didn't even know they had this like a free member. That's pretty cool. But of course, if you want to help support the show, cover some of the costs for just doing this podcast, you can do that, and it's so greatly appreciated. It really is. You can do that by going to Patreon. I already said that. But of course, we shout out our top tier supporters every episode. So thank you, Yolfi Ferrick, Das Sasquatch, Flarch, and Spleemo. You guys are awesome. And everyone else who supports the show, you guys are the best. I have a bunch of like random things I need to upload on there. I've had these interviews that I like to do random interviews. Just I get an idea, I do it, and sometimes I either just haven't finished it or what I wanted to do with it. It was like, I don't know. This is kind of going into the not deleted scenes, but it's going into the archive. So I should upload those up into here. There's a few of them. When Fresh Start Worlds were happening, I interviewed a bunch of people because I was going to do a episode following people's journeys for the Fresh Start Worlds, but on both RuneScape 3 and old school RuneScape, but I didn't. So those are, anyways, I said I would make this quick. I'm not making this quick. And if another way to support the show is by going over to our Discord server and giving us a boost to help boost the server with some free perks. You can go to discord.gg/wilderness. And of course, thank you to Gator Dick. The name always makes me laugh. Gator Dick, Coda, Myzix, Omens Bad, and Ted's Shump Malone. Thank you guys so much for supporting that server. Okay, that's it. I'm stopping it there. We're done. Till next time. All right, we are back. So, guys, if you are... Well, first things first, what do you think of these bosses? Let us know. Anything you disagree with? Anything we missed? Or does it, like, I love hearing what people think of some of the bosses we've talked about. So feel free to call in or write us a message, and we'll definitely discuss it in this section of the show. And if you want to do that, there's a SpeakPipe link if you want to leave a voicemail that we'll play. But you can also leave us a message, whether it's through Discord or email or even in the comments section of like Spotify and whatnot. Let us know what you guys think. Yeah, just interested what you guys think about the PVM climate that we've been going through. As people seem to be we're getting some positive feedback with this series. So I'm glad, because like a little bit nervous. There's a bit of a venture than what we used to do. You know, we used to talk a lot about the news, but now we're kind of, I like the idea of going through all the bosses and maybe the skills next, or maybe diaries, what we were talking about earlier. But yeah, definitely let us know what you guys want to hear as well. Because yeah, I don't know. This feels refreshing. I've been having fun with this series so far.
Yeah, same here. I think we've been a little self-conscious that we've been doing 4 bosses a week, but I mean, it's like this endeavor is essentially talking about an entire like half of the game or third of the game of PVM. I mean, it's probably what the majority of people play this entire game for. So going through every single boss is, it's going to take time. I mean, there's a lot to say about everything.
There's a Warhammer 40K podcast that I listen to, and they do similar things. We're going to rate every single blank, and they do it so fast. They get through all of them in one episode. And when I went into this, that's what I thought we were going to do, like 5 minutes per boss. But then going back, listening and editing and all that's like 20 to 30 minutes. But well, what can you do?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, our email is TheWildernessPodcast@gmail.com. Our Discord is discord.gg/wilderness. Just wilderness. I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, I don't know. You might have to do us like a tag or message. I don't know. If you're going to do it on Discord, it can easily get lost in some of the channels and stuff. But send us an email that's really easy to keep track of, and maybe just ping us or something, and we'll keep a note on that.
Yeah.
Any music tracks you want to play? Anything that stands out?
I wish I had listened to each of these 4 to tell you which one was the best, but I don't know.
Cerber stands out as like, I feel like I remember this having good music, but I don't remember really, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you could play one of them and then see if anybody can write in and tell us which one it is. My challenge I'm putting out there.
Awesome. Okay. Yep, this is a song from one of the bosses. Oh my goodness.
I don't know, but I found these results on search.
So creepy. Was it Final Fantasy VII? No, that's not. Sorry, my Google thing went off. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week for part 5.
Bye.